Listen to the future. Jane Online presents ManoramaOnline Techspectations.
And you talk about the heartbeat of entrepreneurship in India, probably Bangalore comes on top of mind. But to break all that stereotype, many of smaller cities and towns have become the heartbeat of really innovative, amazing entrepreneurial companies. On our first panel, which is a panel on building from Kerala, in Kerala, we're going to look at an amazing set of entrepreneurs who have done just that. The topic is on building from Kerala. Our first panelist is Binu Jacob, MD and CEO at Experion Technologies, someone with 25 years of experience, and a person who's been in the armed forces, Indian Air Force, and also worked with some of the leading top software companies. He's an expert in building enterprise software products, an alumnus of IIT Delhi, and very interestingly, a very gifted singer. Can I invite Mr. Binu Jacob, MD and CEO, Experion Technologies, please? Opening statement, 3 minutes for each of the panelists. If I can request you to do that, please.
Yeah. First, thank you, Manorama, for this opportunity. It is great to be here, along with the innovators of the future. To me, I would like to first start by saying that had it not been this company, I would have been a teacher or a professor at best, because my father and mother both were school teachers and from very ordinary families. And I would like to say that it was just inspiration that actually made me to become a CEO or to run this company, Experion. And that starts when I was in IIT. During the convocation ceremony, we had Keshup Mahindra, the then chairman, then MD of Mahindra Group, which is today about 16 billion. So he was the one who actually came for the convocation ceremony, and he actually made a blunt statement. He made a big invitation to all the IITians, because those days brain drain was the norm. And everybody, he said, you all are going to make America rich, taking India's money. So why don't you actually come and, join people like us who are running industry to create jobs for India, create wealth for India? Because I believe in the tremendous power of Indian minds, which is far beyond whatever you see. Because he said, I've gone around the whole world, and there is no place on this earth where I've not been, and I've not seen a group of people as bright as Indians. And at the end of the whole discussion, he said, I am going to bet on the capability of Indians with a big investment. And those days, as I'm talking about 95, I'm going to make a bet by betting about 675 crores. Those days, I'm sure it will be at least $5 billion at the present rate. He says, I'm going to make this investment, and if this investment fails, Mahindra you wouldn't see on this earth. That's the kind of bet I'm going to make, because I'm believing in the people. And you know what, at the end of the whole thing, he went on to talk a lot of things, and he said, this project is called the Project Scorpio. So 95 Scorpio wasn't there. And a few years later, I realized what he meant. And I think the trust that he had on Indians and Indian people's brain didn't fail him. And today, you know what Mahindra is doing with all the various initiatives. You see the XUV 700 now, and the vehicles that are going to come. So I'm saying this inspiration from him made me change my mind from being an aspirant of being a teacher to an entrepreneur. Of course, it was also driven by my passion, patriotism. Being in the armed forces, I was a short service commissioned officer, as I was introduced. So all of that made me think about, if 5 people or 7 people in Infosys can create a company, why not us? I created a services company, joining hands with 4 other co-founders who actually have been driving this growth from 10 people in about 2008 to the present 1,400 odd we are today, mostly doing business around the world. So that's a quick, short food for thought for all of you who are going to be sitting here being aspirants of innovation companies. I'm sure if you pursue your passion, inspiration, I'm sure you will make it.
Mr. Binu, You spoke about the 7 co-founders of Infosys, and if they can do it, why not we? And that's what gave you the gumption for all of you to start. But you make it sound easy because there are enough cases of co-founders not working out. It can be challenging even with 2 people. Now, suddenly you bring 4 people, it becomes even more complicated. What would be your advice for people out here wanting to start with their friends, with colleagues? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah. So I think what we did is we had complementing strengths brought together. So that was one key thing that was there. So we had people with delivery experience. So see, we went on to create a digital product engineering services company. And we wanted delivery competence, sales competence, finance competence, and all of that. So between the 5 of us, I think we have all of that. There is an architect kind of a person who's actually done hands-on work. There are a couple of people in delivery with competence, delivering to international clients, the tier 1 clients. And then we have somebody who's got market experience. And I was jack of all, specialist in none. So I think that made it work. And I think all of us came from very ordinary families. So we could sacrifice. I think the virtue of sacrifice is important. And we also understood, the difficulties. I mean, as I said in the podcast, we had this struggle. 2008 we started. 5 years we had difficulties because of the financial crunch that happened in 2008. So I think in poverty we stood together because we could sacrifice. And complementing strengths could help us support each phase of growth. I mean, we kept on growing, though the market was bad. So I think, then it's all about the next layer and being able to attract the next layer. So each of us had enough bandwidth to bring in the next layer of people. So all of that put together, I think we kind of Experion, kept on growing every year. And that has been the constant factor for us. I think it's a unity of the team, and also varied interests. As I said, all of us have interest in music, movies. In fact, Manoj, who is in the US, he still produces movies, and we have a couple of classical singers also in the group. So all of that put together, it's a very interesting, very exciting. Even the office is like that. So we promote all these things together. So it's, I think, more of the family feel that we've been able to bring into the company while we kept on growing. We kept the small family feel within the company, and that's continuing to grow.
That's beautiful. Make it look like a family. How big is the Experion family now?
We are about 1,400 right now, and expecting to add another 360 odd. Wow. People have been given offers this year, so hopefully it should grow beyond 1,700 by end of the next financial year.
Oh wow! In a few months from now, and that can be a really, really large family. So as companies expand, and this will be very useful for many smaller startups who are in the auditorium, that it is easy for you to set that culture when you're, like for example, you said there are 4 founders. You not only focus on just your work, but also your outside of interest hobbies, and that's what makes it. But as you expand, and you said you're adding in 360 more people, how do you ensure that the new people who are joining in also buy into the culture? What advice would you give for all of us?
Yeah, so I think organic growth can still be controlled. See, if you are, let's say, adding another company of, let's say, 500 people, and that company has got a different culture, then it's a difficult thing. But I think the HR groups, they've also been, so that we've got a guy who's experienced manager, somebody who can employee engagement primarily for that. So all those, learnings of the culture within the company is being promoted continuously. So marketing team also keeps pushing those cultural factors, and I think that cultural factor is what binds the organization and continues the same growth. So anybody who is a self-driven guy is actually who prospers within the company, and that message is quite clear. I mean, we don't go and micromanage people. So, and the self-driven people who actually perform are actually promoted, or they become stars automatically. So I think that's just it, and not really that we do run behind reports and push people to. So I don't think that's it. Plus, we also have incentivization. So anybody who's incentivized to perform, and it is quite visible. And even so, there is a referral scheme within the company. I think 57% of the people who come into the company are all referred by internal employees. So what happens is they bring in the kind of people who will match the kind of culture. And there is a strict intake process where we look for attitude quite a bit. And so that process kind of brings in the right guys, I think.
Yeah, in addition to skills, attitude, that matters a lot. So that's an important takeaway. Thank you. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about startups in Kerala, and how do you counter them? Okay, I want you to let that question digest. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about startups in Kerala, and how do you counter them? Anyone with an answer can go. Otherwise, Mr. Binu, I would like you to take it up.
I think there is this concept about Kerala being an analysis paralysis state, right? We don't, probably it is not entrepreneur friendly and things like that. But I think in the new age with digital technologies, I think doesn't really have any relevance is my feeling, because, you know, we are all in the technology park and no problem has actually been encountered by us. So I think it's all about the present age. None of these things matter actually.
Right. So none of it matters. Okay. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the entire panelists a big round of applause.
Online presents ManoramaOnline Techspectations.